Good afternoon and welcome to Cooking with Grace. I'm your host, Dyann Duncan, and with me today is Chad Higdon. Hello, Chad.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming.
Oh, absolutely.
Chad is the CEO of Second Harvest here in St. Joseph. It's our food bank, I guess, is what we could call it, and also food distribution center. So Chad brought with him today the Farm to Family food box. And before we start cooking, I want Chad to tell us a little bit about what is this box and whatever you can about this.
Sure, absolutely. This is a lot of what we're distributing right now through Second Harvest Community Food Bank is a Feeding America food bank which serves 19 counties, 15 Northwest Missouri and 4 Northeast Kansas counties. And so what we see in front of us now is really the USDA Farm to Families food box program. And so we are receiving boxes of milk and mixed dairy products, boxes of protein, and boxes of produce. So you see one of the produce boxes here, and it's really just a great variety of produce, as you can see.
Yeah, we've got some apples and oranges, carrots, cauliflower, potatoes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, more apples, onions, strawberries, and peppers and squash.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's really, USDA has invested a significant amount of money to support depressed markets. So when you look at school closings and restaurants closing, a lot of this produce is being grown in the United States. All of it's being grown in the United States, and so really they're supporting hunger relief efforts through produce that was being grown that really doesn't have a place to go anymore.
Awesome. So this is all grown in America, and then it's distributed across the United States. And how much does a box like this cost someone like me who isn't a part of your Second Harvest program but would like to have one?
It's absolutely doesn't cost a thing.
And is there any income requirements?
No, not with this. When USDA created this program, it was really to support the depressed markets more than it was. We do receive other USDA programs, senior boxes, and TFAP commodity distributions that do have some income guidelines that are attached, but with these there aren't, and a lot of these are going out through our mobile pantries throughout the service territory and through our partner agency network. Some of our pantries do have income guidelines as to who they serve and some of those kind of things. We don't dictate that, and through our mobile distributions anybody can actually come through and get the food that we're offering.
And how many distribution sites will you have at your next distribution?
Yeah, well, typically in a month we would have 26 mobile distributions, and so as we've ramped that up, and sometimes we're adding 2 to 3 distributions right now, and a lot of that's because of the Missouri and Kansas National Guard support. We're able to have them help with deliveries and the execution of the distributions. And so probably as we're looking through June, we're trying to kind of finalize the whole month schedule, but we're probably going to see closer to 75 mobile distributions.
Wow, that's excellent. So I know that there's a program in St. Joe where they're kind of doing something like this. Are you guys affiliated?
We are not. It is the same program. It's still the Farm
okay.
to Families food box. I think there's an organization out of Tulsa, Oklahoma that's facilitating a lot of those and working with the Keys Christian Fellowship to organize that distribution. So it's the same. The food's coming from the same program. It's really, there's food banks across the country and other nonprofit food distribution organizations that are receiving a lot of the support from the Farm to Families food box.
That's excellent. Well, today we are making strawberry shortcake. So I am going to take some of the strawberries and put them on my cutting board, and then I'm going to give some to Chad, and we're just going to start cutting these up, and we're going to put them in this bowl. Actually, I'm going to trade places with some of this so our bowl's more centered for both of us.
Right.
And then what you'll need for this recipe is fresh strawberries, some sugar, and that's kind of more your preference. If you like a lot of sugar on your strawberry shortcake and it makes your strawberries more syrupy, then go for it. If you just want a sprinkling, because maybe you just want to take a little bit of the tartness out, that's fine. And sometimes you get strawberries that are so great you don't even need sugar at all. But the sugar does start breaking down the strawberries, so it does make it have a syrup type consistency with it, which that's the way my family likes to eat it. So we're gonna cut the tops, and we'll cut any bad spots, and then we'll just slice them up to bite-sized pieces. And then also what you'll need to do is get a biscuit. Now, part of this show is to do recipes with like 3-4 ingredients, and so I don't know how many of you guys have like a can of biscuits sitting around your house, but I usually keep 1 or 2 because my kids love biscuits and gravy. And so I always usually have a can of biscuits sitting around. Now usually I will make the biscuit on the box. We don't usually do the angel food cake that you get at the store for our strawberry shortcake. I do a little bit more traditional, and the recipe's on the back of the biscuit box, but like I said, trying to keep this down to just 3 or 4 ingredients. You can use a can of Pillsbury biscuits, just the regular light and fluffy biscuits. And then you get your strawberries, which you could get in your farm to family food box,
Right.
and cut them up, and we'll just sprinkle the sugar on them, and then we'll let them sit in the refrigerator while we talk to Chad, and that will let them break down for a little bit, and then we'll put the strawberries on top of the biscuits. And then also, I don't know about your family, but in my family you have to have Cool Whip or whipped cream or something like that on top. And the big joke in my house, especially with my dad, with my husband, my dad likes to tease my husband about how my husband puts Cool Whip on everything. And so, like, he'll get out chili or a burrito or something, and my dad will be like, "You want Cool Whip on that?" He's not quite that bad, but he does like Cool Whip on a lot of stuff. So anyway, Chad, while we're cutting these up, would you mind telling us how you came to know Christ as your Savior?
You know, through my upbringing, we were raised in a Methodist church, King Hill United Methodist. It was on King Hill back in the day, and you know, my family just made a commitment to get to church every Sunday, and then as we were raising our kids, you know, we were looking for a nice place for our kids to learn about Jesus and the Bible, and we found Grace, and it's really been a blessing. You know, we just have tremendous opportunities for youth and kids here at Grace, and we're glad to be a part of this church.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out. I know that I'm sure you guys are going crazy with work out at Second Harvest right about now, but how many more you got? Oh, you're almost done.
Well, I started before you did. We're still talking while I started cutting.
Well, you can't see how many I had, but I think I only had about 6 compared to what all you had. So no, you are doing really well compared to me.
You know, and really, we're with Second Harvest and what we're doing. I mean, this really does feel like the Lord's work, and being able to help so many families that are in need right now, and to just be able to provide nourishment and hope to a lot of families that need it right now is just really an honor.
Yeah, I can imagine. How many employees do you have working out there?
Right now we are at 22 full-time employees, and we've been distributing maybe around 7 million pounds of product, and we're going to certainly exceed that this year with all the food and donations that have been coming out. But we're really seeing about nearly double the amount of families that are coming through in a lot of places that are just needing help and support right now.
Do you think that's due to the whole COVID
Yeah,
thing?
it absolutely is. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID has made your clientele numbers increase.
Yep.
So how about the donations? Has it made those increase, or have you kind of seen a decline because people are kind of worried about getting out?
You know, our
or?
typical on-site food donations have decreased in terms of what we're doing through retail and some manufacturing and those kind of things. So our traditional food supplies have decreased. We've seen some things pick up like the USDA programs. And we have seen an increase in donations. I think just with the publicity that's on the national news with Feeding America and the long lines of cars, and we're seeing that where we are right here in northwest Missouri and northeast Kansas as well. And so we have seen an influx in cash donations, but we really expect this to be a marathon and not a sprint. And so we're really looking out for the long term, and for a lot of families that were on that verge of poverty and how this has set them back, we expect the need to be there for at least several months, if not into next year, as we kind of plan for increased distributions and really trying to provide additional support.
So even as St. Joe tries to open, you think that this is going to have like a ripple effect for months down the road?
Yeah, because a lot of times what you'll find is something like this. I mean, a lot of times for families that are dealing with poverty issues and those kind of things, something like a car breaks down or the air conditioner goes out, and those kind of large upfront expenses can really set a family back for several months. And so something like this where layoffs or just anything right now that people are dealing with can really set families back and can take them quite a while to recover and get back to where they were before all this happened.
Sure, I can't imagine. So have you seen that monetary donations are staying the same or have gone up? Is it just like actual physical food donations have kind of gone down, or kind of explain that to me?
Yeah, our monetary donations are up.
Good.
You know, there was Jeff Bezos actually donated $100 million to Feeding America, and so we received a significant amount through that gift because they divided that to food banks across the country.
Wow.
The stipulations were all that had to be spent by May 12th, so all those funds have been expended. We bought a new refrigerated box truck, and you know there's some additional food purchases and some of those kind of things. So there are some stipulations with the money that's coming in, but a lot of donations are just tied to understanding that we have to buy more food to support the increased demand right now.
So now I know Backpack Buddies, back when school goes on, I don't know if it's still called that, but you guys give food to the schools to distribute to those kiddos. Since school has not been in session for a while, are you guys still doing that, or has that developed into something different?
Yeah, we've been working pretty closely with all the schools. We've got a children's initiative coordinator, Jack Yorkshire, who's been in touch with a lot of her contacts, and so there's pantries at some schools that we work with, and so some schools have done home deliveries of like the backpack products. So we've tried to keep those channels open and tried to support food as we can to get to the kids, and we're also looking, we typically have a summer feeding program that starts after summer school's out until school starts back up. So we've been looking at ways to do waivers, because typically kids have to go on site and eat those meals, so a way for them to come and pick up the food and take it back and not have to eat in a congregate setting. Really just trying to do everything we can to kind of keep those channels open, because we know it's a struggle for families with young children.
When does the summer feeding program start for students that were in school, but I mean, you know, the school year's been crazy?
Yeah, it varies by area, and so all that's really on our website. You can actually go to our Second Harvest website, and we have kind of the schedule of the sites and locations and when they start and the hours they run. Since summer school kind of differs by district, and Missouri and Kansas is a little different, they vary, but typically it's when summer school's out, and then when school gets back in session is when they end. And our mobile distributions are on there too, so if you're looking, we're scheduling pop-ups. I think yesterday we were in Hamilton, the day before in Cameron, so we've got a lot of things that are popping up, so if anybody's looking for ways to get this food right here, they can just go to our website, and one of the first things that'll pop up is our mobile pantry schedule where people can find this.
Okay, and that's at www.secondharvest.
It's shcfb.org.
shcfb.org.
Yeah, it stands for Second Harvest Community Food Bank.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so I had another question and it left my mind. So Chase, you're gonna have to edit that. We were talking about feeding kids. Oh, I know. Okay. So volunteer-wise, I know you guys use a lot of volunteers, and has that kind of been curtailed with this whole COVID thing?
It certainly has. We've actually enlisted the National Guard support in Missouri and Kansas, and they're helping with our mobile distributions, and they're helping with deliveries and on-site packing of food. And a lot of that was just to kind of keep everybody safer. It's to keep our volunteers safe, let them kind of stay home as the shelter in place orders were kind of put into effect. And also we understood kind of the risk if one volunteer was distributing food to 200 cars that came through a line, kind of the impact if they had a positive test. And so our staff are checking temperatures as we come into work. The Guard personnel are also doing the same. So we really wanted to make sure we were there to kind of meet the increased demand, but also do it safely. We're doing disinfectant and cleaning applications on site. We're wearing personal protective equipment, just doing everything we can to keep everybody safe as we try to continue to meet the need and fulfill our mission.
So when do you see volunteers being accepted back? Do you see that being months out, or just kind of depending on what the mayor says?
We are looking for some help with the summer feeding program right now. I know there's some ask out there. I did see the president actually authorized the use of National Guard support through, not through the month, but into August.
Oh.
And so it'll depend on what Kansas and Missouri kind of choose to do individually, but as long as we're can use the Guard support, we're going to try to keep them engaged. It's been a blessing for us, and they've been very helpful and appreciative of what they've been able to do to really serve the region, and it's been a great partnership for us.
So are you using the Air National Guard and the Army? Or
yeah, it's really up to SEMA and the Kansas Department of Emergency Management to really decide which units are going to be deployed, but there are individuals from the 139th and other units.
I was wondering. Well, that's neat. Okay, so we have some local people jumping in and helping us with not only just being Air Guard, but also helping with food distribution in the community.
Right. Yeah.
Neat. All right. Well, I'm going to go grab the strawberries, and if you want to, I will let you plate the biscuits. Like I said, they're just regular biscuits from the can. And as always, we have to taste test, but I also always make sure we have one for our camera person so he can taste as well. I'll go get the strawberries in the Cool Whip.
All right.
And we'll see how I usually let it sit in the refrigerator a little bit longer than that, but you know, the show must go on.
Right.
So anyway, if you want to kind of just fluff this, I always make sure I fluff and stir my whipped cream as well. I'll go ahead and start putting the strawberries on. As you can see, it really didn't get very syrupy. There is some syrup down in the bottom of the bowl, but not so much. And like sometimes I've let it sit so long that it's like almost looks like jam's getting spread all over the biscuit.
Yeah.
So you've had it that way too, huh?
Yeah.
No complaints, at least at my house anyway. I think anytime you have fresh strawberries, you just don't complain. You want to just put a dollop on those?
I don't know how much you guys like, but
I think that's good enough.
okay.
Unless, you know, Chase, you need more than just a scoop?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Well, Chad, you take
All right.
one and take a bite. I'm going to put this one out there for you. And I will take a bite. Make sure you get biscuit, Cool Whip, and strawberry. And let me know what you think, because I've never had it with a biscuit before.
That's good.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite. But if you're having company and you're sitting out on a porch and you have some fresh strawberries and you're in a bind,
Yeah, you know, it doesn't beat Grandma's homemade shortbread, I guess.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
but I'm not stop eating it. It's still good. I think it's the strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could just eat the strawberries and the cream off the top. Anyway, thank you, Chad, for coming
Yeah,
and
thanks
talking to
for
us
having
about Second Harvest. Anything else you want to let us know before you go?
You know, we just appreciate all the support. The church really does a lot. They have volunteers that'll come in and pack. They've packed backpack buddies and have done senior box packing and helped with other efforts to support backpack buddies at some elementary schools here in town, and it's really just appreciated everything the church does.
Well, we appreciate everything Second Harvest does, and you know, we do have a relationship with you guys, and we have so much fun when we go out and pack the Thanksgiving boxes. I mean, you can catch us singing and joking around, and it's a fun time volunteering out at Second Harvest.
Yep.
So thank you so much for coming. I hope you have a blessed day, and thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at Dyann, Dyann, @graceontheweb.org, and we'll see you next week.